Welcome to Bridging the Gap, the Madison County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where Madison County's stories and businesses connect. I'm Sarah Pugh, the Executive Director of the Madison County Chamber of Commerce. Each episode spotlights the people, businesses, and nonprofits that make our community thrive while sharing the stories behind what they do. We're looking forward to learning more about their story and their connection to Madison County. Today, I'm here with Brian Downs of the John Wayne Birthplace and Museum. Thank you for being here, Brian. Let's get started. So, Brian, for those who may not have visited, can you tell us about the John Wayne Birthplace and Museum?
Yes, the Birthplace is located in downtown Winterset, about a block from the courthouse square. It's a $5 million facility, 10,400 square feet, and it's visited by people from around the world by the thousands every year.
Yes, it is. What is your role with the Birthplace and Museum?
I'm the executive director. I moved here from Chicago in 2008, and best thing I ever did.
What brought you here, of all places?
I was in 2007. It was John Wayne's 100th birthday, and at the time, as a hobby, I had an old-time Buffalo Bill Wild West show, and I offered it to the celebrations in 2007. Had a great time, and I thought, okay, that was fun, and that's the end of that story. And then it was just a couple of months later, I was recruited to take on the director's job.
Wow, and the rest is history, right?
The rest is history.
So John Wayne is such an iconic figure. Why is his connection with Winterset so important?
I think it's very key, and I've said this many times before. It's a great lesson that that great lives can begin in small places. That's very important. Anybody can be successful. It's all about hard work and being single-minded and going in one direction. I think that happened in 1930 with John Wayne. I believe it can still happen today.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about his early life here in Winterset?
Yeah, the family, it was the Morrison family, and they were nothing special. They lived all over Iowa. John Wayne's early years were spent here. He was born here. They did not leave a huge mark. They did not have family in the town. They don't have people in the cemeteries. I like to say Dad was a struggling businessman. He was a pharmacist at where the Village Bootery is now. Mm-hmm. And in our museum, we don't say he was a struggling businessman. We say in his never-ending quest to improve the family's fortunes. Mm-hmm. That's a nicer way to say the same thing.
That is a nice way. Wonderful. What makes the Birthplace and Museum a unique experience compared to other attractions?
I think in Hollywood's golden age, there were so many major figures that were, even in their time, there were bigger stars than John Wayne in 1940, let's say, but they did not last like John Wayne did. Americans and people around the world see John Wayne as the American. That's what his Congressional Gold Medal says. And it was, it's just the values. And I'm convinced that his values were Midwestern values. Even though he didn't absorb them here in Winterset, Iowa, he carried them to California with his parents.
Yeah. I want to touch on a little bit of the history of the Birthplace and Museum. Growing up, I remember that it was just the house. And then it became this big museum that we have now. Were you part of that process of getting that big museum going, or can you tell me a little bit about that process?
Yes. Prior to John Wayne's passing in 1979, there was very little interest in his birthplace. But like a lot of notables, we don't know what we've lost until we lose them. Mm-hmm. And so there was suddenly a great interest in people coming to Winterset to see where John Wayne was born. Some forward-looking city fathers decided to locate the house, eventually purchased the house, and for a good 40 years it was the focus of John Wayne in Winterset. But just a small little house, a cottage really, and had great attendance. But the complaint was it's very small, not much on display, and the time inside the house was short. So it's my understanding, it's before I was here, but we had a new director, new president of the board, who said, I will take the job provided we hire a director. And that's where I came in, and really did come out of the blue as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. My job when I got here was raise funds. And I had zero museum experience and I had zero fundraising experience, but we figured it out.
Yes. Yeah. And now you have this beautiful building that people can go and tour and see all his memorabilia too, right?
Yeah, there's loads of memorabilia, 2 full galleries full. The primary collection came from our current board president, Joe Zuxworth from Pennsylvania. I could sort them out by saying mostly what's under the glass. Other major pieces have arrived since then, and a lot of collections were promised provided we get the building up.
Hmm.
For instance, John Wayne's 1972 station wagon, we weren't going to get that until the building was up. Major pieces like that.
Yeah. Very cool. So when visitors walk through the museum, what do you hope they take away?
Number one, we want the visitors to realize that we respect and appreciate them, and that's where the architecture comes in. We have had professional architects visit, and they're kind of in awe of what we've accomplished by using the talents of an architect, a designer, a builder. They are artists just as much as a painter is. And so that was, to me, very important that it was an impressive building. I said to our architect before we got going on it, I said it has to be welcoming and masculine. It just had to be a masculine looking place, and he achieved that.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any exhibits or pieces that tend to stand out most to your guests?
A collection is that. It's a collection. It's pieces of many things that make it worthwhile. The personal items, John Wayne's costumes from someone's favorite movie are very important, knowing that he wore them. The movie posters show how the movies were promoted in that day. But then major pieces like the automobile are always a great part of a collection. My favorite in the whole collection, and my personal favorite, is the Irish jaunting car from The Quiet Man. And that was on loan to us for nearly 10 years. And in the back of my mind, I had that someday the owners are going to want that back, or they found a buyer for it. So we started a campaign, and that was paid for fully by museum donors. It was a $75,000 price tag, and I'm just, because it's my favorite movie, it's very special to me.
Yeah. You welcome visitors from all over, and what are some of the most memorable interactions you've had with them?
Well, because Iowa's first in the nation in presidential years, I think it's fascinating that people like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Newt Gingrich, Rick Santorum, they all want that John Wayne Association because that they correctly assume that that's kind of the pulse of America, and so they can't come to Iowa without stopping by to see us. Um, other We've had Hollywood celebrities, most notably Maureen O'Hara. We've had a lot of John Wayne co-stars here. We've had country music celebrities. But of all the visitors that I've encountered, it was in my first year here, and there was a huge blizzard in downtown and all over central Iowa. And the Chamber of Commerce called me and said, we have some young ladies here who would like to see the Birthplace. And I had to explain that it was closed, but since they drove from Minnesota in the blizzard, I opened up for them. And this is just a little Birthplace house. And there were two lovely girls in their 20s, and it turned out that one girl took her friend to Winterset for her birthday. And I didn't understand because of the age of the girls. And when they got in the house, the birthday girl started crying. And I said, I have to ask. This is very emotional for you. And she said, my father died when I was 10 years old. And we spent every Saturday morning, I would sit on his lap and watch John Wayne on television. That was her connection to her dad. So that's the story for a lot of people. It's very personal. It's a
Yeah.
connection to a lost loved one.
That's very touching. Do people generally come in already knowing about John Wayne, or do you introduce his story to new audiences upon arrival?
For the most part, the most fans come by having a very excellent idea about John Wayne already. That's why they get off the highway. But what warms my heart the most is when we see families come in with little kids, and the kids might not necessarily have an idea.
Yeah.
So we have a 10-minute introductory film, and we don't have to champion John Wayne ourselves. He did that throughout his work. And once you expose young people to John Wayne on the screen, they can be kind of mesmerized as they were 50 years ago. So I think that's very important. I think the introductory film is very important. If you don't know who John Wayne is, we do after the movie.
Yeah. How does the museum contribute to the tourism in Madison County?
I think any weekend when it's not snowing, drive by the museum and just look at the cars parked there and see all the license plates. I think there's nothing says more than that,
Right.
literally from all over the United States. That's kind of a sport we have down there. Where'd they come from today?
Yeah. What kind of impact do you see from the visitors coming into the community?
It's a positive reflection. There is John Wayne could not possibly have been born in a more attractive place and more emblematic of the middle America. It's so important that people make that connection. That they always people the fans always saw him as one of us, and I think that's the message we deliver loud and clear.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear your perspective on why you think it's important to preserve and share this part of our history.
John Wayne's character that he worked so hard to develop in a 50-year career was all about aspirational. The best of America, the strength of America, the warmth of America, American duty. John Wayne said quite correctly in one of his lucid moments, he said, I played the man I always wanted to be.
Mm.
And nobody ever did it as well as he did. John Wayne was not necessarily Hollywood's greatest actor. That's a matter of opinion, but it's undisputed that he was the greatest movie star of all time. And that's based on the fact of a 50-year career as a leading man in ticket sales and 170 motion pictures, and nobody will ever come close to that.
Do you find it difficult to get the younger generation excited about the history of it? Or is it once that 10-minute introductory film is played, they are just bought in?
I think they're spot in when that happens. We are always excited when families come in with little ones. Dennis Schauter High School is teaching a film class on Friday focused on John Wayne's The Searchers, I believe, and he's bringing a dozen kids from the school to see the museum and let me introduce them to John Wayne. So they're going to be our guests for an hour or so next Friday,
Very
and that's
cool.
very important, and we hope they go home and talk about it.
Yeah, very neat. What goes into maintaining and curating a museum like what you have?
A lot of our collection really falls out of the sky. Let's say Joe Zuxworth was a huge contributor to the artifacts, but we have a fellow in Oklahoma gave us a 1880s chuck wagon. A fellow in California provided the automobile, the jaunting car, which I mentioned. Our most recent major piece was a 90-year-old Mitchell movie camera, and it's symbolic of Hollywood. It has the wooden legs, the tripod. It
Mhm.
has the Mickey Mouse ears on top, and you look at something like that, and it really shouts Hollywood. It's so symbolic. So we didn't have the price tag was $40,000, which was not in our budget. So I called a lovely man in Ottumwa who's been very supportive of our efforts, and he wrote a check for it. He said, "Oh, that's a drop in the bucket." So he passed away this winter, and his widow will be here to see it, an example of her husband's generosity.
Yeah, that's lovely. Um, so do you have like a timeline or some items that you have your eye on that you're looking to add to the museum to keep it fresh and keep those returning visitors interested in what you have?
Well, we've been doing that really from the start when we had room to display them. For instance, we've annually have a very large collection of vintage movie posters hanging from the ceiling, and they're so large they're easy to see from ground level. So those have been changed out every year. I just mentioned the movie camera that was new since last summer's visitors. And it's a matter of going forward. I think it's a matter of rearranging displays, which is we have our major pieces. Oftentimes, a relative will pass away and they have John Wayne items in their collection. They want to make see that they are displayed in Winterset. And out in Colorado, in Ridgeway, where True Grit was filmed, there's the jail cart that appears in the beginning of the movie. That's displayed outside now, and I'd sure love to have it inside our building, but that's going to be a tough one because that's all they have.
Yeah, yeah. So what's next for the museum? Do you have any upcoming events or plans you're excited about?
I think what we have on May 22 and 23, Sigma Chi fraternity is going to be here. John Wayne was a member, in his college days, and they're going to dedicate the plaza. They made a major contribution to our efforts, so there's a bronze plaque out there right now, and they're coming in from all over for a dedication speech and to meet with John Wayne's daughter, Aisa Wayne. We have to change it up every year as best we can. Early days, we were able to get a lot of John Wayne co-stars or fellow actors, and those are getting harder and harder to find. But I think going forward from a marketing point of view, we've really focused on our social media. We have a Facebook company in St. Louis that does a great job, and we've recently started posting on TikTok, and that was a big surprise because I'm an old-fashioned guy, and I had no faith in it, but you can't argue with numbers.
Yeah. So tell me about the event you have coming up.
Well, it's going to be primary focus is the Sigma Chi dedication. John Wayne's daughter Aisa is going to be part of that. Her daughter, Jennifer, is going to be our musical headliner. We always had indoor dinners in the past. This year we're changing things up by moving to the Covered Bridges Winery. It's going to be more like an outdoor music festival. And we're praying for good weather, but nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah.
But it'll be a totally different event and experience for visitors. Okay. We have, since we don't have a mortgage on the museum anymore, we've cut our prices considerably so we can include more people.
Yeah. So for that event, do you still have tickets available, or
Yes.
is it something that's sold out?
No, plenty of tickets. As we speak today, there's plenty of tickets. We're about 2/3 of the way sold out.
Okay.
But there's plenty, and it will be, it's general seating now at this point.
Yep. And they can buy those online?
Online at johnwaynebirthplace.museum, or they can call in and at 515-462-1044.
Wonderful. So how can the community support you or get involved?
They can certainly talk us up. We get a lot of people have relatives in from out of town, and John Wayne Birthplace is a regular stop. As many brochures as we can get in people's hands. We have a fly-in breakfast on May 23rd, and a lot of aviators will come in and they will make a side trip to the museum. My favorite quote about success came from Ted Turner, who said, "Early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and advertise."
Yes, that's so
That
true.
applies to everybody.
It sure does, yes. So listeners can find you on your website, on Facebook, on TikTok, on all the social media platforms, and they can give you a call if they have more questions.
Yes, correct.
Wonderful.
I'm available to anybody. I always answer my phone. I always answer my mail because John Wayne taught me that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for listening to Bridging the Gap, the Madison County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where Madison County's stories and businesses connect. We hope today's conversation gave you a deeper look at the people and passion behind our local community. To learn more about today's guest, visit their website, and for more chamber events, membership, or resources, visit www.madisoncounty.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue bridging the gap across Madison County.